Did President Trump's rhetoric enable the Tree of Life shooting? That's the topic of today's episode of The Drop Point, where we dissect and refute lies, damn lies, and talking points. Welcome to my video, guys. Many members of the media are making much ado about Trump's penchant for divisive rhetoric, both recently and over the course of his campaign and presidency. Sometimes it's a subtle "some say" statement, like this report by Trip Gabriel for the New York Times that said, quote, "Many in the Jewish community in Pittsburgh cited what they saw as the president's divisive rhetoric, which they feel had a role in enabling the violence here," unquote. Others have been more explicit, like Julia Yoff, who said Trump had radicalized more people than ISIS. According to California Representative Adam Schiff, quote, "This president's modus operandi is to divide us. It's not enough that on the day of the tragedy he says the right words if every other day of the year he's saying things to bring us into conflict with one another," unquote. Does Trump on the whole cause more political and cultural conflict than unity? That's a fair question, and one that can be asked of countless other politicians like Maxine Waters, who told supporters to confront members of the Trump administration at restaurants and gas stations. Or Eric Holder, who said, "When they go low, we kick them." But a religiously or racially motivated shooting is on an entirely different, purely evil level. It's not just political conflict, it's bodily violence, it's murder. The Tree of Life shooter, whom I will not name because filth like that does not deserve infamy, but a slow, lonely, painful experience of rotting away in prison until he meets death by lethal injection, hopefully, was a hardcore white supremacist and anti-Semite. His bio reads, "Jews are the children of Satan." Look, you can argue that Trump has won the love of the alt-right with dog whistles all you want, but this guy was way beyond anti-immigrant, anti-globalist nationalism. He's way beyond the alt-right in a tiny dark fringe Trump never whistled to. Just read some of his Gab posts. The post that's garnered the most attention for its association with Tree of Life, of course, was this. "HIAS, that's the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, likes to bring in invaders that kill our people," he wrote. "I can't sit by and watch people get slaughtered. Screw your optics, I'm going in," unquote. He also refers to Jews as oven dodgers and wrote, "Open your eyes, it's the filthy evil Jews bringing the filthy evil Muslims into the country," unquote. Here's another gem. "Amazing amount of division on Gab today. Glad the overwhelming Jew problem has been solved so we can now fight each other." This guy is straight up evil. He has a twisted, perverted worldview. Hatred motivated him to do what he did, but let's be even more clear. This shooter was no Trump fan. Here's what he posted on Gab again. "For the record, I did not vote for him, nor have I owned, worn, or even touched a MAGA hat." He called Trump a globalist. He really doesn't like Trump because Trump isn't a white supremacist or an anti-Semite. So how exactly can Trump be blamed in any way for enabling the Tree of Life shooting? Trump has never said anything remotely anti-Semitic during his campaign or his presidency. Some critics point to a 2016 presidential ad where Trump said we can take our country back and spoke against a global power structure. It very briefly features 3 prominent Jews in finance, including George Soros. But it's a huge stretch to say it's a dog whistle. And anyway, Trump's statements in the wake of the horror at Tree of Life were clear and unequivocal in their denouncement of the violence. Trump said the attacks, quote, "require all of us working together to extract the hateful poison of anti-Semitism from our world. This was an anti-Semitic attack at its worst. The scourge of anti-Semitism cannot be ignored, cannot be tolerated, and it cannot be allowed to continue. It must be confronted and condemned everywhere it rears its ugly head. We must stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters to defeat anti-Semitism and vanquish forces of hate." Trump doesn't seem to hold any personal animosity toward Jews. His son-in-law Jared Kushner is Jewish, and his daughter Ivanka converted to Judaism when she married him. And on the policy front, Trump has been very supportive of Israel, including cutting $200 million in funding to the Palestinian Authority and moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. So what's the argument here? That it's politically convenient for Trump to signal to anti-Semites when only a very small percentage of voters are anti-Semitic? Wouldn't that just be mixed messaging at best in terms of gaining their support, since he doesn't govern like an anti-Semite? Look, I get it. What Trump said after the Charlottesville riot, where white nationalists fought with Antifa, that there was, quote, hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides, was misguided at best. But in that same statement, he also said that no citizen should have to fear for their safety. And yeah, what Trump just said about ending birthright citizenship just reaffirms for the left their belief that Trump is a white supremacist. The president's rhetoric may often be divisive. It may be extremely misguided. It may not be helping to heal the deep divides in our nation, but it certainly didn't make the shooter what he is or encourage him to murder 11 people during a religious gathering. Hatred of the Jewish people is as old as the nation of Israel. They've been oppressed, persecuted, enslaved, and murdered for thousands of years. It is a deep-set, irrational hatred that can't be undone by strong denouncements from a podium, or even the most unifying president. It is simply evil, born of a hatred for God himself, and evil doesn't check its guns at the door or throw up a peace sign when good people confront it. It doesn't dissipate with flowery speeches about love and tolerance. It just is. We can fight it. We can try to keep it from infecting more people. We can refuse to give it a platform. We can pray that evil people find Jesus, but we can't just blame whoever is president for any violence that happens during their term, simply because we don't appreciate their politically contentious rhetoric. I'm Georgie Borman. You can follow me on Twitter at Georgie_Borman, and you can find most of my writing at The Federalist. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time on The Drop Point.